Good morning or afternoon to some of you. Welcome to the monthly FHWA NDE webinar series. My name is Monica Jurado, and I'm a Payment and Materials Engineer with the FHWA Resource Center and your host for today. Today's presentation title, Gateway to the FHWA Infrastructure Research and Materials Testing Data. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box or wait until the end of the presentation. If you're interested in receiving a 1 PDH for attending this webinar, please fill out the survey at the end of the webinar, and I will post the link in the chat box. The presenter for today will be Jiang, a highway research engineer with the Long-Term Infrastructure Performance Team, who will give us an overview of InfoMaterials. And with that, Jane.
Okay, Monica, thank you. Can you hear me?
I could hear you perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, great. Good afternoon. As Monica mentioned, my name is Jiang with the Long-Term Infrastructure Performance Team and Federal Highways Turner Fairbank Highway Research Center. Today, I will give you an introduction of InfoMaterials, but before that, I will start with the Info Highway. FHWA has collected tremendous amount of valuable data through our cutting-edge testing labs, sponsored research, and other collaboration efforts. I should ask, can you all see my shared screen?
Yes, Jane.
Okay, thank you. We have also developed important research findings, tools, and products as a result. It is crucial that we preserve, document, and make our data, all our partners' data, tools, and products available to state DOTs, researchers, and other stakeholders to maximize the benefits of the collected data and products. This will also avoid unnecessary repetitive efforts and waste of funds, as well as promote collaboration. In order to achieve those goals, FHWA decided to develop a series of web portals to showcase the data, knowledge, tools, and products from our research and make them accessible to the public. That's why the LTIP team was tasked to develop Info Highway portal as a central gateway. At this point, we have 4 portals on Info Highway. On the left is our first portal, the LTPP InfoPay, which was first launched in January 2014. And the goal of this portal is to enable easy access and analysis of the long-term payment performance programs data through visualization, data selection, exploration tools. Additional payment performance data collected by other programs are also available on InfoPay. Last week, our colleagues presented the long-term bridge programs InfoBridge. It was first launched in 2018, and it facilitates efficient and quick access to bridge performance-related data and information on more than 600,000 bridges throughout the United States. And the third one was made available in 2020, and it's a Federal Highways InfoMaterials web portal. It provides access, visualization, and synthesizing of FHWA's infrastructure research and materials testing data. And then the final one we have here, which was also showcased last month's NDE webinar, is FHWA's info technology. It differs a little bit by its more of a knowledge portal. and it was released in 2021, last year. So it disseminates technical knowledge on non-destructive evaluation techniques for the assessment of highway infrastructure systems and components. The vision at Federal Highway is to continue grow and expand the Info Highway portal to include more infrastructure data, knowledge, and tools that can help the state DOTs, researchers, and practitioners in designing, managing, maintaining, and analyzing their infrastructure assets. So we definitely plan to add more portals to Info Highway family in the future. So today I will focus on the InfoMaterials web portal. But before I go into the details, Monica, could you start the first poll question to the audience?
Yes, I've also put the links to Info Highway and InfoMaterials on the chat box.
Great,
So
thank you. Should I stop sharing?
No, here it's launching now.
Okay.
Okay. So the first poll question is, how many of you either heard about or use the following portals on Info Highway? And you could select more than one. We do have the LTPP InfoPave, InfoBridge, InfoMaterials, and InfoTechnology. I do see some answers populated. I'll give it a couple of seconds more. And of course, this is multiple choice. And if you heard about or used one of the more than one, you could select more than one options. All right, with that, we have a couple of responses, Jane, so you could continue with the webinar. Do you want me to leave this up here for you, or we're done with it?
Oh, I think looks like the most people are familiar with the InfoBridge and then go down to InfoPave and InfoMaterial. So it's a very good response. So today is I guess a good time to go over InfoMaterials. I see somebody's hand raised. Monica, are there any questions or?
Ernesto, do you have your hand raised?
Yeah, yes. Sorry, I did, but it was for the pool. So, but then I noticed that there is a a checkbox. So I did. Thank you very much.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We might
All
continue.
right. All right. Can you see my share screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. So here's the homepage of InfoMaterials. It's designed as a user-friendly portal to host data sets that contains characterization of payment materials, payment performance testing, and analysis results, and many other types of structured and unstructured research data. The data here also supplemented by extensive metadata, descriptions, and references to assist the users with their understanding and utilization of the data sets. Features include like data maps, graphs, filtering capability are also incorporated for improved visualization and exploration with each data set. So currently, as you see, we have 9 data sets incorporated, and they are showing as 2 columns. The first column on the left are the data set that has location information published for you to browse. So their data availability is also showing on a state map. So let's see if we click on Nevada, we can see there are two data sets associated with that state. And then if you hover over each data set, a brief description is provided to give you a little bit insight to what that data set is about. And if you click on them, then you go into that individual data contained in that data set. We will go over them, go over each one of them soon. And on the left, there's a find data set filter. So it just help narrow down the data sets of your interest. By using those filters, you can identify the data set that are related to certain test method, material type, program study, or certain states. So for instance, if I select a material type, say if I'm interested in data set that are relevant to aggregates, I could select and then apply. And then we see there are 4 data sets contain that type of information. In addition, we also have an introduction video. It's a 5-minute short video. I would highly encourage you to watch it if you're interested in more comprehensive overview of InfoMaterials features. Then we also have a brochure published and a data management guide tech brief. So to help you understand how the process of how we organize and publish the data set on InfoMaterials, let me just give a quick overview of this data management tech brief. It's a quite, I guess, a more comprehensive tech brief, has 11 pages. It just describes the how it come about, the benefit, and then the what's involved, how we identify different data types, supplement with metadata and organization, and also come with different examples. So in terms of data types contained on InfoMaterial, they are basically divided in 3 types. Either they are structured data, which are mostly the database tables or spreadsheets that have logical relationships developed or identified. For example, like the materials testing results, they are linked by the type of samples or sample ID, and then testing done at certain time. So you could identify the tables that related to each other. We'll see that throughout the data sets. And then there are also supplemental information collected, such as images, videos, even audios and text that are coming more as a file-based data. And then in between are the semi-structured data, such as the sensor data collected in the field, or some raw files like the JSON data, XML data. They have a kind of defined structure, but it's not following the data model as the structured data. So we, as I mentioned, each of those data is also supplemented by metadata. When we say metadata, it's basically data or information about those tables, fields, or the files, so that the user can understand them. You know, for example, at the dataset level, we have metadata about the project objectives, the approaches, and findings to help you understand what it's about. And then on the data level, then there's a data dictionary about the file, the format, type of data, precision, description, so user understand what all those numbers mean. And then for the files, each file is also described with a folder structure. So I'm spending a little bit more time here to help understand not only the data inside the InfoMaterials, but also hopefully help others if you're interested in getting your data set organized or make it accessible to the public. Going back to the InfoMaterials homepage, let me just start with the first data set. It's a traffic speed diffraction device data set. So this is a fairly standard layout of the InfoMaterials and a data set level. And on the left, if there's if applicable, then there's filters identified to further subset the data. And then if you click on the About button, there's a sort of the project or the data set level metadata that describes the data set, what it's about. For instance, this one is collected by using a traffic speed deflection device. And the data included here are resulted from a transportation pool fund study. And then we also have a link to the pool fund study website. And all in all, for this data set, we have 152,427.01 mile segments data collected. So if you would like, you could also filter out the data, those segments to the ones that you only of interest to you. For instance, we could filter using the structure condition index. If you click on that, that gives you a sliding bar. You could slide and narrow down. As you see, the number of segments available, it's reflected on that yellow ribbon there. And then the data is normally as appropriate presented in 4 tabs. There's always a data tab that kind of present and let the user to download the data. And there's a map if the data set comes with location information. And the graphs, that's basically reflected with what is the objective of the study or the nature of the data collected. And then the references are just provide additional pertinent information. I will go over each one of them. So for TSDD data here, under the data tab, it shows what we call the classification. So they are basically like data categories. We have 6 of them. And then there's if with this symbol associated, then there are tables. And then this one's files. You could determine if you just want to see tables or files or see all of them. And let me just expand. For instance, under project information, we have the project location and survey event information tables. And then they are all keyed to the segment ID to relate to other tables. And there's an option to view the table or just download it directly. Or you could select multiple tables. For example, if we move down to the longitudinal and transverse profile data, let's say I'm interested in the IRI measurements, I could select that and then put in my email and then what the output format I would like, and then submit and get the extraction data. For most of the data sets on InfoMaterials, just to give for the convenience of the user, we also have the option for you to download the entire data sets tables. Then you can just further explore on your own. And another thing I would like to mention is that's also the metadata at work. So it's like whenever you hover over any tables or categories, there's a sticker showing up give you a description of that table or the category. And the same goes the filters. So those are like for the help the user understand what the items are, and shows the importance of the metadata. Let me go to the map view of this data. So this one is a little bit unique because it has a GPS location data identified on the road. It's a little bit hard to see, but if you zoom in, you will see they are color-coded, in this case, according to the maximum diffraction range. And the green ones are less than 9 mils, and then the yellow are the between 9 and 21 mils. I think there's going down here, there are some orange ones with a little bit worse maximum diffraction. You may also view those segments with other parameters. So it just help you to view the data and segments on the map. You may also, if you're just interested in the data, say, close to Atlanta, you could draw a box around there and do a selection with only that data available. As you see here, there are about 20,000 segments in that area. And then for this data set, you may also view what data available for certain state. And so at this time, we have data set collected in DC, Virginia, Georgia, and Kansas. Then the next tab is the are the graphs. So those are identified by the subject matter experts to say what they would like to view, get the insight of the data. For instance, here they want to look at the structure condition index along the roadway. You could also zoom into certain segments. And then there's also other types of graphs available. The one I chose earlier did not have data for that segments. And then finally, we have the references for all our data sets. For this TSDD here, we have what's the applicable standard specifications and also the relevant links for you to get additional information about that data set. All right, so that's about the first data set. Let me move to give a quick overview of the next one we have is a continuous friction measurement data set, CFM data set. So again, if you click on the about, it also gives a description about the data set as well as the study or the program behind it. This one was a FHWA research project to develop and promote network level payment friction measurement program and investigate the benefit of using the CFME equipment as compared to the conventional testing. And again, this one is data is collected on 0.1 mile, and we have currently 28,082 segments. And you have the ability to filter them to the data of your interest. One thing I would like to mention here is if you click on state, we only have, we know, who they are, but at the request of the state, we're not publishing the name of the states, so you can only have state A, B, C, and D. And this data, as shown here, is much simpler compared to the TSDD data. It only has basically one big table. And then again, you can preview, download the table, and do the filtering, or you can download the entire data set directly for further view. This one we don't have maps or graphs, but we do provide the references of the specs. There's a report published a couple years ago, and also the study links are provided for further information. Moving on to the next data set, it's this data set. It's a payment performance related specification for us for mixture data set. It's developed as a result of FHWA research effort. And this one is kind of different from the previous data sets. It's more of a materials testing and characterization. And it contains both tables and files. And if we expanding, there's a project information and a mixture information. And then there's more properties, aggregate and volumetric properties tables, and a performance testing data. Let's take a quick look at the dynamic homogeneous data. Now this one, it's provided as a file-based. So the only option is to download them, and then you can view them individually offline. And then, but for the mixture one, there's a table associated. Then you can just preview the table and either download the table directly or the download with the entire data set. And then again, the number of the filters is available to help you narrow down to the data of your interest. And then for this data set, it's actually international cooperation. There's data collected both in the US, Canada, and other countries. And you can also review the data availability within the United States, say which states participated in this study and has the materials provided. Now we have New York, Virginia, Alabama, and Louisiana. And then there are a number of graphs available to further visualize what's data in there. And the one thing I would like to mention is the data that's used to graph those, making those graphs, it's also directly downloadable to Excel file. You could also save the graph for further analysis. And then the applicable specs. For this one, we're only also provided with relevant book chapters, published journal papers. It's a list of references. And then most importantly, at the bottom here, we also have a study report published that describes this study and the data set in much more detail. Okay, moving on. We have the next one coming up is it's a white-based tire data set. It's also resulted from FHWA research that studies the the damage resulted from the new generation white-based tires versus the conventional dual tire assembly. And the more information is provided here, and it's the study is a transportation pool fund study. This one, what we have here are only the raw data files provided from the what they call the pave box testing. So there's no filter of this data set, but the users do have the option to download individual files or the entire study data set for further analysis. And then there's also a ANN tool developed and available for download, and there's a user manual associated with that tool. So this data set does not have any location information and the graphs identified. The only other tab here is the references, paper published, and then the links to the pool fund study website where there are additional resources available. Moving on, the next data set is a super heavy node movement data. Again, this one is very similarly organized as a white-based tire study data. It's resulted from also a FHWA research effort, and we did not have any filters identified. And then data are organized in 5 categories, but they are only the file-based. For example, there's a subgrid within Homogeneous. You can download that file directly, or you can download multiple or the entire data set, which is quite large, probably takes some time. And then for this one, there's a materials characterization, a type of files, related files, the pave box and test data in the analyzed format or the raw data formats. There are also drawings of their experiments and also the final reports is directly available here. Okay, so the next few data sets are all the results of the materials testing. So the first one is it's what we call the Abt data set, the asphalt binder tester. They are all conducted at a FHW's asphalt binder laboratory. And here we have the link to our the ABML, the FHW's asphalt binder and mixture library website directly linked here. And then we have number of samples, 411 samples tested and available for browsing. And we also have both files and tables and files. But in terms of filter, there's only one we identified is by project code. So you can narrow down the test results from the project code list. And then the testing results are organized in 2 categories. One is the ABT project data, and then the second part is the SSCR, the single share creep recovery data files. So take a quick look at the table on the asphalt binder tester. So those are the fields, and then there's an option to view the table itself and download it. And the same way you could download the files or download everything all together at the bottom. And then the next data set, it's in a very similar nature. It's also performed by our ABML, FHWA ABML laboratory on the double edge notched tension test data set. And then for this data set, we have two filters identified. One is a binder high temperature PG, and then binder low temperature BG. And then there's only one table, looks like, available for this data set. And we do have a couple graphs that's showing the testing results. And again, the reference is available here to give more information. So that's a DENT data set. This one's a little bit unique because those are the materials characterization and testing results from Federal Highways Mobile Concrete Technology Center. Those are all in collaboration with the state DOTs to showcase state-of-the-art testing technique, and also in materials testing, mixture design, and payment design, testing and evaluation. So let me just show the maps first. So in this case, actually we have, they have the MCTC worked on many states, and they have 470 samples tested. And here we see the states that we worked with. If we click on each one individually, for instance, for California, we actually did 4 individual projects and then collected 34 samples. You can click here to download the entire data from California. It's the same thing if we click South Dakota. So you could get your state data directly that way. And then, or you can coming back to the data tab, and there are a number of the filters available to filter out to the data. For example, you could filter by the data those are tested, years that's tested, or any other parameter like 28-day compressive strength, if you want to narrow down to a certain strength category. And the data are organized in five what do we call classification or categories. The first one is the project and sample information. That basically gives, identifies the project, visit, or the samples. And then there's a mixed design results. And then the test results from different types of tests. Let's say we take a quick look at the concrete strength. And then there's a preview table option again, and you could download that table directly. And then there's a field toolbar scan results. Those are organized into files, so you could identify them and download them to your computer. And then we also have some projects reports available that describe the projects conducted. And then again, there's always an option to download all the files at the bottom. So this is one of the more extensive data set. And this one also has many graphs identified. You could filter out and explore the graphs again to see more the correlation or other features of the data. And then just like any other data set, we have the applicable specifications listed here. And then there's a link to the FHWA's Mobile Concrete Technology Center website for more information. And the last, but not the least, is the Oxford Research Consortium dataset. This one's an older dataset. It's resulted from a core, I think it's a corporate agreement with a number of 6 expert organizations. I would say about 10 years ago now. They all did some testing and has a result compiled. They are mostly in the file-based data. Some of them, although some of them are in the table format. You can browse and download this data for additional information. And then also the ARC website is linked here for additional information. But no additional filters identified or graphs or maps. References is available with the applicable specifications. And then the website is also, again, listed here under references. Well, so that was a non-presentation of all the data set that we have on InfoMaterials. Coming back to the home page, just want to mention that we also have a help menu here with FAQs and other information. You can also contact us with a link here. It's been developed and again, like I mentioned, and maintained by the long-term infrastructure performance team. So if you have any questions or any suggestions, we're here to help. There's also customer support button here. You could click and if you discover any bugs to report it. I would also like to recognize the contribution of the excellent contractor team by Wood and also iEngineering who worked on with FHWA and developed this web portal. And this website or web portal is still very new. We plan to add additional data and data set each year. So this year we're actually adding at least 2 new data sets. One is the project data collected by Federal Highway's Mobile Asphalt Technology Center. And the second one is the DPS, Dielectric Profiling System data, also collected by Federal Highway. And we're also adding additional data under the MCTC. They had more projects conducted and also additional CFM, the continuous friction measurement data, and also TSDD data. So stay tuned. So with that, Monica, could you put in the second poll question to the audience, please?
Yes. So it should be launching now. And so this is which of the InfoMaterials data sets you are most likely to explore. And again, this is a multiple choice and it includes all the ones Jane discussed earlier. And you could select more than one if you're interested in any of the different ones.
Just as you were answering the poll question, I just want to mention that we put in lots of effort and we feel, the data is on everybody's mind. It takes lots of effort to collect and even more effort to make it available to the users, because then you need to think about the how to organize it and then have the metadata available so you all can understand to utilization. So we're definitely very interested to hear from you if you have used it or if you're interested in using it, because we also, for the LTIP team, we're also putting out some student contest. It could be a partnership with professors and researchers to submit a student contest research paper. And we showcase them at our TRB sessions, and we also have regular webinars. So if you have any experience, we're very eager to hear from you and maybe invite you to present at our sessions.
So it seems like we have about 50 responses, Jane.
Okay.
And so they're all about, ranges anywhere from 6% all the way to 20%, with the Mobile Concrete Technology Center being with the highest interest, and then some of the others to follow. Very
Good.
close to that 20% would be the super heavy load movement data, which is 16%.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And then should I bring up the next poll?
Yes, please.
Jane did mention that there's some other data sets being added or coming soon. And so this question would be, what data sets or type of data would you like to see being added to the InfoMaterials portal? And please, for this one, please type in the chat box, or also in the survey that I'll be posting towards the end. You could put your comments there, but we would like to hear from you on what other type of data you would like to see in InfoMaterials. Yep. And so I'll leave that one open for you to submit in the chat box. The next poll that we have for today is, if you have experience using any of the portals on InfoHighway, would you like to be considered to present your use case at the upcoming TRB annual meeting or FHWA workshop or web meeting? Please indicate the portal. So this one is also multiple choice, and you could select more than one. But if you're interested in sharing the information that you have collected for any of these portals, please select one and we'll reach out to you after the webinar.
Yep, this is just another plug.
We have one more here. Please provide your suggestions in the chat pod for improving InfoMaterials. Oops. Okay.
Yeah, this is more on the UI for the interface I just presented. If we would definitely appreciate any suggestion, because we are looking to enhance the portal every year and bring in more data set.
And this one is also, please submit any suggestions or feedback into the chat pod. And we'll make sure Jane gets all your comments and information. Okay. And with that, thank you, Jane, for a great presentation. We'll open up the forum for questions. And I'm looking at the chat box. I don't see any questions. There was a comment about providing none of the above. I guess some people were not familiar with any of the portals, but we'll work on that. Any questions, comments, or if you have any suggestions that you would like to, some feedback you would like to provide to Jane, you could unmute your phone and let us know.
Yep.
In the meantime, while we wait for some of these questions, I'm going to post the survey link on the chat box too. Remember to fill out the survey in case if you want to receive a 1-hour PDH. I've also added the links to both InfoHighway and InfoMaterials onto the chat box. If you need me, I'll post those again. That way they're at the end of the chat. And of course, you might not have any feedback now, but if while working with InfoHighway and all its portals and you come about some feedback, please send me an email or Hoda, and we'll get that information to Jane and the rest of the team working on InfoHighway.
Yep.
Any questions?
Looks like, Monica, there's a question about are there any data set on concrete ASR testing and mitigation? The answer is not at this moment. But if you know of any this type of data set, or if you would like to see it added, we will definitely look into it.
Any other questions? I pasted the survey, and if we don't have any other questions, I would like to again thank our presenter, Jiang, for taking the time to letting us know more about InfoMaterials. Thank you all for participating, and see you all at our next webinar in August.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Jane. We just got a question from Kevin.
Sure.
What about deterioration on bridges?
Okay, so I would encourage you to browse the InfoBridge. We actually have the, I would say, how many years? Sure is in the attendance, 20-some years of NBI data. And we also have deterioration models developed and showcased on InfoBridge portal. That's available on our InfoHighway kind of hub. But that was introduced and discussed at last month's webinar. And I believe, Monica, you have those recorded and made available, am I right?
Yes, we do have the recordings. We're waiting for review so that we could post them and share. But if there's a specific webinar you need to take a look at, please send us an email and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and thanks everyone for listening to this InfoMaterials. This is the longest one I spent talking about the portal. But we definitely would like to see more people use it and give us feedback, and we look forward to adding more data sets that's useful to the payment community. But anyway, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jane, and see you all next month for our monthly webinar. Thank you and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.